not.
You're very literal.
It's
okay.
Jason.
Well, welcome back, guys, to Hey DM. Don't, I can't see now. Okay. Welcome back to Hey DM. Sorry for the little bit of a late start there, guys. We were leveling up to level 6.
Yeah.
Get some fun in for the next arc going up. We will be starting our second arc today.
They can see you now, which is the best part.
As you can see, we have gotten a new camera. So that's amazing. You guys can now see these fools whenever they do something.
Oh, I forgot.
My vision is back. Wonderful.
from
It's
Alec.
fine, you missed nothing.
That's from Alec.
Amazing. Thank you, Alec. You're very nice. I love you.
Everyone else has glasses.
Okay. There's a lot of applause. Yeah, so do we have any announcements that we want to make?
Happy birthday, Reese! You're so fucking precious when you smile!
I will kill off your
I told you that he was going to kill all of us. Why would you do that?
Oh my god. He's gonna kill Baz first.
Reese, can Shyn kill Baz? I didn't help.
Wait, can Kiza help?
No, you said it.
I know they are this, but I just love the fact that I now have 3 cards that say fucking. Alright.
Whenever we're bad, you'll just open one of them and throw it out.
Or whenever you're good.
Oh.
Who knows?
Oh. Everyone needs to go.
Sorry for that, guys. Alright. Let's get in here.
I'm sorry, I didn't even finish it because I realized how bad it was.
I know, I heard it.
Now you understand what I have to look at every day.
They're making out over there. What do you mean?
Hey, I don't get to see you most days, so you're
Yeah,
good.
usually
You're
it's
fine.
Danny sitting there.
Oh my god, hi Danny.
Hi, Danny.
A couple of important announcements, I guess.
Your hair got shorter.
First things first, it was my birthday on Monday, so I'm
It's a Bluetooth
older.
speaker.
That's always fun. Our second announcement, we are missing Danny today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Coming up, we will be missing quite a few of our players in the month of May, due to a couple of conventions and personal life issues. But for today, we do have the wonderful Shyn, Kiza, Baz, Tavik, our wonderful boy, has come out, and he's brought with him a special guest, who you guys will be meeting very shortly here.
My face is now on camera, it's great.
Your face is on camera now, so just remember this. Now you understand what I have to go through.
But your face actually looks nice, so that's a benefit.
Oh my god, please don't die.
What's going on?
I want, but I can't be in camera.
Okay, we're ready to go now, Reese.
Can we take
love
Baz
you.
off camera again?
Yes, Daddy!
You're too fucking heavy.
Oh fuck. My chair just like
be all
collapsed
the way
underneath
over
me.
here.
I'm very scared. Okay, I
Okay,
think
we're
there's
good.
gonna be a problem.
We're good.
Did you break the chair? I'm really light. Yes, Jasper. I broke the chair that's been broken for the past 7 games. It's fine.
There's one in my sister's bedroom.
You wanna just...
So, I lied earlier. A lot of the wasted time and the reason that we were late is these fools sitting around my table right now.
Timmy's is in camera.
We keep it out of camera.
As Jasper, moves it right in front of the camera.
Stop it.
I was trying to...
Stop, guys. We're trying to.
Guys,
We're the most professional people you'll know.
that's a fucking
Alex
lie.
says he's dying already.
That's a fucking lie.
Wonderful.
Okay, Jason, come back.
Jason, get
You're
back
too
to
far
the table.
along.
We're doing
There's
this
your
properly, please and thank you.
Okay.
Good
Right.
God.
I love you.
I love you too.
Are there good
What the
gods?
fuck?
I also love me.
My husband.
Are there good gods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, that's on camera now.
We're fighting over Reese.
What?
We're fighting over Reese.
Please. Please.
Fight? Or stop?
You're gonna have to get in the queue, guys. Take a number.
I have a ring.
You do.
Reese isn't wearing his.
Excuse me.
You were 5 seconds ago.
I was holding up one of my D20s.
I was actually looking 14.
All right.
It's fine. Here we go.
So we're level 6 now.
Yeah.
We're about to start off our second arc.
Oh no.
We are finishing up arc 1, Choppy Waters.
We're gonna die.
And moving on to your newest arc, arc 2, The Fallen Tower.
Woo! It wasn't my arc.
This arc will be Baz-centered, which will be fun.
Sounds like
Their
Jenga.
dancing's on camera.
You guys will be failing at Jenga. Baz is an internationally renowned dwarf Jenga artist. That is the entire campaign.
What if he tries to play Jenga and I just push him into the tower? Does he automatically lose?
I don't move.
It's completely steadfast. You cannot,
Okay, Kiza pushes the tower onto Baz.
the tower doesn't move.
Additional damage to constructs.
We are now determined to
I
make
will
Jenga
allow that.
fall on Baz.
Alright. Baz is in the Jenga
Oh
tower.
shoot! Can everyone make sure that they have their sound off? By the way.
I have to have
Yep.
my I'll just go off randomly. It's fine.
I don't get calls, so I'm fine.
No, I get messages from this group chat mid game.
I will turn down my media. Alright, let's stop wasting time and start wasting time professionally. So
bring
we
up the
had
screen
left
chat.
off after quite an emotional...
I got a nat 20 to waste time.
You already do that anyway.
Why do I DM for
That was
this?
13.
Fuck you.
18
20,
to fuck
19, 18.
So we will be
What
skipping
day?
arc 2 and moving on to arc 3.
No, because that would be fucking scary, Reese.
Calm yourselves, children.
We have 3 viewers. What?
Who are you people and why are you
Don't
here?
sound so surprised at me, 'cause look back. Hi.
Hi, Mom! One of them might be my mom.
Your mom's gonna be like, oh, my
Alright.
best fantasy.
The last thing
I would prefer if my mom does not fantasize about.
The last
guys,
thing-
guys,
Oh.
start, please.
If you'd like to actually watch us play D&D, you can skip the next 20 minutes.
Sorry, we're good. Let's go.
We're good.
Oh, Danny's watching.
on
Danny says hi.
on
Hi, Danny.
we may in future episodes need to put the skip to this time code to actually watch D&D on YouTube.
Skip this entire part.
Yeah.
Okay, so skip about an hour in, and then
And then we can get to the
Then you
D&D.
get 5 seconds of us actually rolling dice, and then skip another hour.
Yeah.
Alright. We left off on the island resort of Ellison.
Ellison.
Oh, yes. You cheating on me?
I can't even speak.
we were all V sad.
It was a very, very emotional time.
Yeah, I'd say.
A lot of people were lost. You already sound like you're about to start crying. I haven't even started the recap. We lost friends.
Guys,
and
I'm on camera now. I'm just gonna look at Reese just in case.
we lost friends and family and
That's worse. I'm gonna look
pleasure.
at you. This isn't gonna help.
It's okay.
Oh no, I'm fine.
Just like use the character sheet.
We lost friends and family and treasured pets.
My God. Alex says he wants to stab you. By the way.
Don't worry, Alec. I'm sure you'll be back.
You're just dead.
What the fuck? I don't even have my glasses on, I could see that.
You guys had reconvened at your
Oh, Alex is my God.
your lovely beach bungalow, where you had been ambushed by a pack of fairy dragons. You're kind of lounging on the porch with a couple of them spread out around you.
Have I even gone outside yet? No, I haven't.
No, you were not outside. Discuss, because I don't know what you guys are doing.
I think Tabitha was still crying last we left.
Crying, a lot of crying. Oh yeah,
Oh.
weren't you guys like hugging each other on the couch,
No,
we
Kizza
were.
was
I
outside.
left.
Tabit curled up on the couch alone.
Yeah.
I left to read the letter, which apparently you forgot something about.
I did, but I've changed that, so I'm
Okay.
fine. Don't
Danny
worry.
says
Okay.
the camera looks great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very happy for the donation.
But I had just come downstairs and got ambushed by Danny.
Yeah. And Danny gave you that thing.
Yeah, the vial.
So Charlotte hands it over,
Mhm.
and then she kind of like gives you a nod of an understanding nod, like not like the suck bro nod. Like, and then she turns around and walks out the front door.
Of course.
I'm assuming she's going to hand. No, she'll sit down with the fairy dragons and the rest of you that have been kind of gathered around them. Just start playing with one.
Okay. I guess I'm just gonna put the vial in my pouch and walk outside.
Cool. So the 4 of you are outside. Tavik is still inside on the couch. Tavik, you feel a weight on your back.
And it's a spider. Run!
Shyn's just sitting there.
There is currently curled up on your back the largest fairy dragon you've seen. Is kind of like old bluish color, but like starting to silver. Like this is an old dragon. And it's just curled up on your back. It's got its face like tipped over like a dog's, and it's like half open. There's a tongue lolled out.
I have a question. Is it on fire?
It's not on fire.
Tabik is also not on fire.
Tabik's not on fire. How many
I
times
can't
do I
believe you're on
explain this to you?
fire.
He's got red skin. He's not on fire.
I can't believe
I
you're on
can
fire.
toss things at you now.
Wait. When he turns into a fire elemental, you could say he's on fire.
Don't
Does
get
that
lit.
Does that mean he will sweat fire then?
No!
Baz has a mild heart attack.
Jason has a mild heart attack.
Okay,
It'll
we're
be
good.
easier to set Baz on fire soon. Stop.
I have to strip? Okay.
No!
You are on camera.
Okay.
Everything's going fine.
So the dragon kind of like it begins to like nudge awake, right? And then it grabs a mouthful of the back of your shirt, sloughs itself off the couch, and begins to drag you towards the front door. It's very slow going.
We'll slowly go with it, I guess. It's not ripping his shirt.
Depressed Tabit gets dragged by dragons. The rest of you are just kind of curled up outside with the fairy dragons. They seem to like they've been playing around and kind of like lazing around and stuff, but they seem to be coming to alertness now. Like they seem to be waking up. And the fairy dragon you guys had seen earlier with the kind of like collar almost.
The one that's with me?
Yeah. It has positioned itself off of you, climbed off and kind of like walked out kind of farther up the beach, before turning around to look back at you guys.
Follow
Okay, the door swings open and Tabik is dragged outside. The dragon like sits down and just like looks at you in the face, and it's just like it like backs up a step and then looks back at you, and then it continues walking and then looks back at you, like
sure
it's
he's not
expecting you to go.
Okay. Sure.
Are we following fairy dragons?
Yeah, we're following fairy
Yeah,
dragons.
We
Wonderful.
Follow the fairy dragons.
Great, wonderful. Thought that'd be a lot more
It's
difficult.
always follow the spiders.
Tabik's just really slow.
We're all sad and there's cute animals leading us somewhere.
This seems like a Harry Potter reference. Follow the spiders. Why is it always follow the spiders? Why can't it be follow the butterflies?
So the fairy dragons, they begin to move into the actual jungle, and you see a couple of them blink kind of out of visibility. They turn invisible and disappear. The larger one with the collar on it and the older blue one that you had seen are the only two that you guys can actually see, and they keep like glancing back every once in a while to make sure you're still following. But they begin to lead you deeper into the jungle. And it takes about an hour of walking. And you come through, and you've been traveling through trees and stuff. Every once in a while you've kind of ducked behind a tree to avoid one of the wild creatures that roams through this jungle. Finally, the two dragons come to a stop in front of what looks like another bunch of jungles. It's not different from anything else you've seen. There's two kind of crooked trees that are bent over towards each other, but it's just jungle. And they stop one of them at each base of the tree, and they just kind of sit there and look at you guys, and then they look forward into the jungle more.
Do you want us to go in? You want us to go in? Are we gonna go in?
Shyn smacks back.
They can see that, we don't have to say it every time.
Wonderful. I'm getting tired of it.
It happens so fucking often.
So the blue one begins to like shimmer into invisibility, and like it takes it a couple of seconds. It's like stuttering, right? Like it can't quite do it, and then finally goes vanishes. And the green one just continues to kind of sway back and forth in front of this tree.
You want us to go in? Are we gonna go in? Let's go in together! Ow!
And I want to, like, try to grab the fairy dragon and push it and pull it in with us.
Okay, yeah, no. The fairy dragon dodges your hand.
Fuck.
Like, you go to grab for it,
What
and
happened
it, like,
to Bass's voice?
Sorry.
It zips underneath your hand, and with one final glance back, it walks further into this copse of jungle trees and disappears.
Okay, here I go.
And I walk in.
Okay. Anyone else going? We're just letting Baz wander into the jungle.
Fuck yeah.
You're not a surfer, dude. Stop.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, Charlotte follows.
Fuck yeah!
Slowly follows.
Okay.
I'll follow at a slower pace.
So like slower, doesn't move. You walk through, and it's jungle.
Can I look back to see if they're behind me? Like, I can see
Yeah,
them?
you can see them. It's getting a little bit denser here, so you can like make them out, but it's difficult, right?
Guys, it's fine over here!
I can't hit him from back here.
You made hand.
You've made a grave mistake.
Wait, Reese, can I get Mage Hand at some point just for the purpose of being able to smack Baz across the battlefield?
I will
make you all
find a
hit
way
with,
to
like,
give you a
cardboard.
magical item so you can do that.
You can just throw
Nice.
the blink stick.
That would hurt. That does.
fine.
Just throw the hilt at him.
fine.
Just knock him in the back of the head.
It does 1d4 plus 5 piercing damage.
Yeah, no, when it's the blade that hits.
Yeah.
No, okay, so you continue to walk through. It just continues to get denser and denser. Like you're pushing things out of the way to see where you're going. But you continue to walk forward. Roll me a perception check. Or rather, what's your passive perception?
10.
10?
15.
15, 10,
How?
13.
13. You're a bard. You just don't pay attention to stuff. So
Did you make sure to add to your passive perception?
It would be 11 because I have a 1 perception.
okay. So you notice that it begins to get denser and denser, and you're like managing to push your way through. It's a little bit easier because you're shorter and it's not quite as packed at the bottom, but it is definitely a little bit annoying to get through. Shyn, Tabak, and Kiza, as you guys move through this, you also notice it's getting denser, but you notice one more thing. Two more, technically. You notice, first of all, that the lights are starting to get dimmer. It was not late by any means when you guys had left the bungalow, but it is starting to get a little bit, like, change in light. It's not quite getting dark. It's just something's affecting the light. You also notice that the kind of almost light rainfall, this kind of breeze that's been passing through, has stopped. And you continue to walk forward. And Baz, I'd like you to make me a dexterity saving throw.
This is why we don't follow Baz.
Let the dwarf fall on his face. Aww.
32.
Okay. Baz, you managed to step over the small fencing along the edge of this copse of trees that is being passed up. And you step out onto cobble. And you take a glance around, and for a second you're a little bit shocked because, one, how the fuck are you here? And two, you're in a familiar looking greenhouse.
Where's my back massage?
You can see the light that's starting to filter through these kind of clouded glass windows. You see the familiar tables full of these plants. You see the fountain and the large double doors that you know lead into a small alcove at the back. The rest of you guys are close behind, and you step out into here. The small fairy dragon you had been following is gone. You're not sure quite where it's gone. But just glancing through, you take a second to kind of like brush back through to see what the heck is going on. And you just come into contact with the back of the greenhouse. So you've managed to pass through somehow. At this point, I'd like perception checks.
Can we do that too?
Yes, everyone will make perception checks for me.
14.
19.
13, 15.
14.
I do not.
Use the dice tray. I told you to roll your dice earlier.
Okay. I didn't.
Tavik, what'd you get?
I don't like the dice
14,
tray.
19.
That's
14.
what's 16
19 from you.
plus
14,
7?
14, 19.
What's 16 plus 7?
19, 20, 21, 22,
Too
23.
much.
I have a plus 7 to perception. Is it 20?
Wait, is my perception
I counted on my hand.
Okay.
Are you sure?
16, 17, 18,
Oh, you have
13,
23.
16 from 17. Okay, yeah.
math.
I can't do math.
You notice that you are not the only ones in this greenhouse.
Pleasant.
Woohoo.
Leaning up against one of the tables in this greenhouse stands a man. It's a wood elf, middle-aged, with a
Why are we all looking at the guests?
middle-aged with a slender build. That his hair is pulled back into a braided updo, and on closer examination, there's a sparrow feather tucked behind his ear. Sheathed at his hip is a small dagger and a small pouch. Leaning against the table next to him is a moderate-sized traveling bag, the tip of a long bow peeking out of the top, along with a couple of arrowed feather tips. A quick sweep of just the area around the man doesn't reveal anything out of the place. You can't tell why he would be here. But you do notice a small bird is kind of perched on the rim of one of these potted plants behind him. Our wonderful guest. You've just seen these motherfuckers step out of the bush.
Wait,
do they know what we look
do
like?
they
or-
know what we look like?
Would you like to start
Okay.
with appearances as the first one to come through the jungle?
Yeah, I'm like way behind. I have time to like pull out the picture of what his face looks like.
I'll look at the very clever drawing I drew. It is beautiful.
I'm using my
Nice.
sim, not the drawing I did.
Your sim is beautiful.
So Baz is obviously a dwarf, a very, very small dwarf, height-wise. He has brown hair in the bun, and he has like a fucking giant warhammer on his back, and he has like a tar that has 20 heads, or necks technically.
It's a monstrosity.
Yeah, also on
It
his
fucking
back.
sucks.
He has a giant fanny pack on his bottom, and he's wearing a brown,
Poncho.
thank you, poncho, and his beard is long. Very long.
Can he trip on it?
Very long.
Is it dragging across the ground?
Not dragging across the ground, but like around the side of that area.
Oh, so he can't
Dick
trip
area.
on it.
Everyone draws bad with like this little thing. I'm like, no, it's long. So.
Dumbledore beard.
Yes. That's,
Baz is secretly
he's an
Dumbledore.
all-round.
Dumbledore.
Not as good as the dwarf.
Okay.
Anyway, that's bad.
Kizza, were you behind?
I was like, I didn't.
Wasn't
Charlotte.
Tavik next?
No, it was Charlotte.
Oh no,
Or
Charlotte's
Charlotte's
next.
it. You see a small child come out next. They've got kind of light, almost curled blonde hair, a smattering of freckles, a large blue cloak. They don't look too interested in the situation, but they stand just next to Baz, kind of looking at you. Tavik
It
was
would be
next.
Tavik next, because I didn't even start walking until all of you went. So. Picture.
Just
Give an audio description for the audience, please.
Kind of tall for Genocide. He has, like, shoulder length, kind of wavy hair that looks like fire.
He's on fire.
He's
not
not
on
on fire.
I looked at the camera before when I said it, and I was like,
He's not on fire.
not yet. He's on fire.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
He's hot. He will be on
Oh
fire
my
in a few
God.
seconds if you continue that.
Guys!
Shyn. He has
TikTok
half
motherfuckers,
plate armor
TikTok.
that's kind of detailed and fancy. And dark skin, just a reddish with markings that glow. Yeah, that's it. That's all you get.
Guy Fieri, but like.
I'm not giving you a detailed description because I lost that. Okay.
Okay, so Shyn is 5'7", which he's actually kind of tall for a drow, which is what he is. He's got skin dark enough that it could be described as charcoal or onyx, and bright blue eyes, and a kind of pretty face with fine features, and he's wearing all black. Black leather armor, black tunic, black pants. He's very black. Except for his shocking white hair, which goes about 2 to 3 inches over his shoulder. And he's decked out in weapons.
Sword here, dagger there, bow there.
No, sword, 3 daggers, bow.
That was close.
And for reference, there's his face.
He's very pretty. Alright. And I guess lastly, you see emerge the 6'8" Dragonborn, the tallest in the group. They're green.
Am I close enough to smack Baz now?
Yeah.
Can I give him 2 hits for, like, everything that happened?
Okay. They're green. They have scales. They have a scar going across one of their eyes, and like kind of just across their face in general. And they look a little something like that. You badass picture of me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, show the commission.
Oh yeah, the commission. Baz.
His beard is longer.
I don't like the...
And Shyn. Yeah, I'm avoiding Shyn. And that's an NPC that you don't know about, so. Yeah. Let me see
Oh,
Shyn.
does she know about it?
His hair is not long enough. Yeah, his hair isn't long enough.
Through
The
context, you
picture
might-
is on our Instagram if anyone is wondering what I was showing them. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for mine. Mine's not on Instagram because it's on Sims.
Okay. So you guys emerge out.
You moved literally everything.
Yeah.
It's not shaking the camera anymore, so that's a bonus.
Oh yeah, because the camera's not
I'm
on
sorry
the
for
table.
that audio, though.
Funk.
Stop. Stop.
I love how we have the same idea.
Would you like to take it away?
You got this.
You can do it.
Your
we,
duck is
we
dirty.
believe in you.
Don't make me kiss your dirty duck.
So
guys step into the greenhouse and
Why is Todd on your head?
They can't see it because it's blocked from the logo.
Todd's fine there.
Todd is a small duck.
I found him.
Can we
He's
put
mine.
Todd on the mic?
just put him like right there. So
Yes.
It's fucking good.
Now,
leave them.
Reese, if you sit in the right spot, you have a duck goatee.
Yes, I do.
Because the microphone doesn't like to pick up people.
Oh dear. This chair's breaking too.
I don't like to pick up people either.
Kizzy likes to pick up
But
pickles.
yes,
true.
she really
Pick
does.
up my pickles.
I like to pickle people. I put them in a jar filled with salt.
I like to pick up pickles.
My English goes to hell on Saturdays.
Which is the day you really need
How
it.
do you get it back?
Sorry.
I don't.
Ah,
I've got like a running tab.
I just
Yeah.
realized Shyn also doesn't pick up people.
Neither does Tabby.
Shin's got a man's.
He gets picked up.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
I have
Okay.
a book.
Enough. Let Kurt Cobain go.
Two of our players just died.
So 2 of our players died. Peace out. We're just gonna go have coffee.
God, I fucking love coffee.
I love coffee too.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh, you should maybe introduce yourself, just a suggestion,
Come on.
before one of us decides to try to kill you.
Yeah, I figured that was gonna happen.
We need the valuable NPC shirt.
I'm not an NPC.
So yes, you were expecting them.
Took you guys long enough to show up.
Who the fuck is you?
It's Hoops. The fuck.
What the fuck, Tabik?
He wouldn't have said that. He doesn't make jokes.
Actually, no. I wanted to retract my statement in Dwarvish. It'll say,
Who the fuck are you?
Baz.
I'm Bosconian. And
You
I've
don't know
been-
Dwarvish. He said it's
I hate you guys anyway.
Dwarvish. Kiza says in Draconic. Yeah, who the fuck are you?
I mean,
You could introduce yourself anyways.
Put my notes away. This is gonna take an hour.
when people say that, like, they're generally asking, like, who the
What?
fuck is going on?
No, I don't like the dice tray. It makes me roll ones.
Exactly. It's to even out your stupidly good stuff.
Ladies,
But I just got.
you'll like it once you've won.
I love you.
I just got a 22 to hide.
You're not fucking hiding. Let me.
You have a high?
Shall we continue?
To hide, not to get high. Oh my god.
Tabby, the weed elemental. No.
I was gonna say, I swear we are normally like this, but people who watch us know that we are normally like
You just weren't able to see it before. Now you understand whenever I look off camera and
Alex says don't stop.
okay.
There was a divorce that just happened. I'd just like to inform.
Wait,
what? We're down to one viewer for my
Alright.
I just stole your ring.
Okay, guys, guest, let it speak.
Let it.
Let it speak.
Take that.
Okay, I'm Bosconian. I've been waiting for you guys forever. Like, the fairy dragons, you didn't pick up on it sooner?
What?
You can't see our guests, but they went. I agree.
Thank you. So. Oh wait, hang on. Oh lord. Okay, let's see if I can get that deep again. So why were we brought here?
There's no time for that. We have to go. We're already behind schedule.
Schedule?
Wait, do I know him?
No.
No.
My patron asked me to take you guys.
And who's that?
Who's that? Wow.
I wrote it down.
I swear I have it here somewhere.
They look at their hand.
Understandable.
Miracle.
Here, just take this. It'll explain everything. And on the note, don't. Maliki asked me to take you.
Is that miracle but on smushed hand?
Okay. I will. The note is. You've been told to bring them in to meet Maliki because she had some things. What?
I'm waiting for you to
I just looked and you were listening to me. I've never seen that before.
Let's intensely listen.
All right. So your patron has asked you to bring them in so you could discuss further.
I'm already bored.
Continue.
I have to fiddle. I'm sorry.
Continue.
Oh no, it's not mine now. I finished. I wasn't talking to any of you fools. You've got this, Kurt Cobain. No. Just inside the house. Just bring them into
Just
the
bring
house.
us into the house.
You got this, Kurt Cobain. Forget about the map.
Just,
Oh, nice.
Thank you. I spent weeks on it.
just lead us where we're supposed to go. I'm not saying that in character. This is not my character voice.
Come on, let's go. And I walk into a door.
Into the door.
It's like how you did with Wood Ave.
Roll for damage.
You break through the door.
That's not.
Yeah, you lead them out of the greenhouse, grabbing your bag on the way. The small bird kind of flutters onto your shoulder and perches there. You lead them out. You guys have seen the outside, obviously. Down into the small hovel of a hut that works as Lorazin's massage therapy and spa. You can't see Carol, the hippogriff, in the immediate vicinity. Generally, they'd be outside somewhere, just kind of hanging around unless they had a proper patron inside. But he leads you inside the house, into the familiar living room where you guys had tea after your first official adventure together.
That was a catastrophe.
It was a catastrophe.
It was fine.
It took us how many hours to solve a puzzle?
It was fine. Compared to this, it's fine.
You guys take a seat, kind of scattering around the living room to wait. And within a couple of minutes, you see the familiar form of the old high elf Lorzin as she emerges, and she's got a platter of fresh scones and tea, and she sets it down on the table, and she's, "Oh, good! You would not believe the day I've had trying to get you guys here."
Oh my god, I haven't seen you in forever. How are you?
Oh, well, you missed quite a few things.
Okay.
Not bad. There was a little bit of a stint where I was almost taken prisoner.
Pardon?
We'll get to that, don't worry.
Okay.
No, other than that, it's been a pretty uneventful month.
How's the business going?
Oh, wonderful. After the whole events of town, we've had a couple of people stopped in. Not as many, but that's to be expected. So,
Let's sit down because I'm terrified about what you're talking about.
so you sit down. She kind of hands out the scones and tea. You guys take a minute just to hang out. This is like the first proper food that you guys have been pretty okay with eating after the whole fiasco with the Charmed Island. She gets up about halfway through, disappears into a side room for a minute, and then comes back. And she's got a small letter clutched in her hand. And she hands it over to Baz. She says, "This came in the mail the other day. I'm quite certain it's addressed to you.
I'll take my pills. I'll be back.
Pill break.
Yeah. So we'll get back to that
I'm
in a
so
second.
sorry.
It's totally fine. It's acceptably fine. I should have kept
I
an eye.
almost died yesterday.
Yeah, so how you guys doing?
Kiss is standing.
Kids
That's
standing.
inside.
Dead
Tavik
inside.
is also standing.
Where
Also
am I in all
standing.
this? Am I just sort
You're
of
probably
like,
just like
by the
chilling
door, just like
against the doorway.
You can you've taken a seat on top of the kitchen table.
that's about right.
You don't use chairs when there's tables.
Perched.
Exactly. You've got the Batman thing going on.
Yeah.
Don't actually perch on the table, please.
I'm wearing a dress. That'd be improper.
No. So
We don't care much for improper here.
But now
For
we're all on
propriety.
camera, Dylan.
I still don't care for propriety. It's fine.
Oh dear. Shut up. Your dice don't like you.
this is this awkward part of the stream where we take 2 minutes.
Where Baz takes his
We good?
medication.
You look very unhappy, but you're fine, so that's good.
This die doesn't like me.
I just want all threes. Why are they rolling the same?
All right. So she hands you the letter.
Okay.
She says, "This came in the mail a couple of days ago, after the whole fiasco was over with. I'm quite certain it's addressed to you, but assuming how the events of what has transpired in your absence, it was rerouted to my house. I pulled a couple of strings, and, well, here you are."
Okay. Does it say anything on the...
So it does say addressed to one Mr. Banham.
Can I open it?
Yes, you open it. Inside is a older looking paper. It's quite nicely done. Doesn't seem, despite the fact that it's being probably tossed around this envelope, it's being folded up and stuff, it is totally flat. There's no crinkles, no creases, nothing like that. It smells faintly of like cinnamon. And emblazoned onto it in green ink are a couple of words, and it says, "Dear Mr. Banham, I've missed you dearly in our days apart, and I would request your aid in a bit of trouble I have run into. If you would be so kind as to meet me in 1 week at the city of Cashire, I do believe there is a problem you could help me with. Address, your loving mentor and former boss, Maeve, mistress of the Everseen Tower." You finish reading it, and it is done in... There's a bit at the bottom that's written in, like, a language you're not sure of, but it seems to be just... It doesn't seem to be directly in correlation to whatever's on this, but you have been asked, or summoned, to the Everseen Tower a week hence in Cashire. You may now take a look on your map.
It's very hard to read the town names.
It is incredibly hard to read the town names. You guys are in Dryernook right now.
Yeah.
Cashire is up at the top of the
I don't
brown.
think Dryernook is on here.
Yeah,
It is.
Is it?
It is.
I can...
Oh, yeah.
You're over here. Cashire is up here.
Jeez, that's a lot of traveling to do in a week.
Wait, where's the tower?
We better get going.
The tower is not on there.
Oh, that's understandable.
Lorizan turns to you now and she says, "So, where to begin? Well, as you can probably guess, we've had a couple of events happen lately. After your absence, after your leave, we were attacked by a group of dark elves who had emerged somehow from the underground.
I did nothing.
Thankfully, I was able to fight them off, and the city is more or less fine. We've taken the time to rebuild what has been broken, though there are still things we have deemed better not to touch.
Excuse me, sorry, how long has it been?
Since your absence?
Yes.
A month, perhaps?
Oh, fuck you, so quick.
We should ask what month it is.
What month?
September.
When did we go in?
You guys had left sometime in August.
Okay.
It took you a week to get to the cliffs, Port Greywitch. After that, you guys took a week and a half or so on the sea, and then you'd spent 4 days at the Ellison Resort. So there's a couple of days that are missing in between there, but you're not sure what would have happened.
Okay. Hey, my birthday's next month. Yay. Well, Shyn's.
We've taken the time to regroup our people, and thankfully I was able to pull a couple of strings to get you back. I've arranged for my wonderful paladin to help you in your journey from here. As I see it, you have two choices. Now, Cashire lays at the top of the Broadmoor Mountains. It is part of the Somerset, the country of Somerset. However, it is on the outskirts. There are two ways you can go. The first requires you to pass through dangerous territory. You would travel along the Broadmoor Mountains, following the roads through a couple of the dwarven mines and the Forest of Myr itself. The way is fast, and you'd get there within 4 or 5 days if you make good time, but it's also very dangerous. The beasts and creatures that roam those parts are nothing to trifle with. Your alternative choice is to head west towards Ocean Hall, pass through the lands of Somerset. It will be slower going and will require the full week's worth of travel, but it will be safer in the long run. The only point of difficulty would be the road going through and past Weldra, the citadel of the elves. While they're not a warlike people, but with the recent events that have happened, let's just say you'd be best to keep out of the limelight. The choice is yours. I'll leave you to discuss.
Now, Reese, this is me asking you, not the Greymore Mountains, right? The Dover
No,
Mountains?
you would be going up. You're going up. So you could either follow the Broadmoor Mountains,
So, okay.
head up there, which will be faster but more dangerous with higher level enemies and a difficult path. Or you can head west into the Somerset Kingdom, which will be slower going, but safer in the long run, other than the fact that you would have to skirt around the main road to Weldra.
I'm just like pointing.
I'm up for a challenge. Kiz is always up for a challenge, though.
I'm stuck.
Just making sure.
Have I ever traveled the way?
So you have not traveled through the Broadmoor. They are renowned for dangerous territory. There's not a lot of people that come in and out unless they're going through the north tip of the Broadmoor Mountains, coming out near Cashire, because it's safer to travel through the mountains and out into the towns. You have been to Somerset. It's quite a lovely place, and there's definitely a lot to do there if you are looking for something to do along the way. Honestly, the only points of interest that you can see is there'd be a lot higher level monsters to fight, a lot more dungeons and places you'd have to travel through, dangerous climates and such if you go through the Broadmoor path. It'll take significantly less time. Heading through Somerset, you have a chance of passing through a lot more of the cities, a lot more of the cultures. There are a couple points of interest that you might want to stop by at times. For example, I believe Kingsgrove is on there.
It's really hard to read the names.
Is it?
I have a better picture, but my iPad's charging.
It should be near Westhold.
that's Westholt. I saw Westholt.
That is definitely a point of interest if you guys would like to stop by there at some point. It is a safer route. It takes a little bit longer, but in the long run.
Well, I've been through Somerset before.
That says everything but Reese just said.
Just
And,
through Broadmoor, will we pass through any of the Underdark?
There's a large chance. A lot of the Broadmoor mountains are connected.
And Shyn would probably know that, right?
Yes, you would have.
Just past.
You would have traveled that way before on work. You've probably traveled both of these roads.
Yeah.
The Broadmoor mountain is definitely difficult terrain.
Yeah.
And you'd have to skirt around a couple of entrances to the
The Underdark.
Underdark. But Somerset, you can't think of anything that's going on too bad.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem you might run into is it's a bit of a tense relationship between the elves and the humans.
And I'm
We
guessing...
only have one human.
And I'm guessing, because from what I know, surface elves aren't fond of dark elves.
No.
At all.
No.
Because dark
High
elves have...
elves. The
Dark
Forest of Mir, which is the forest that would be part of the Broadmoor,
Mm-hmm.
is run by the High Elves mostly, and they're not too friendly with a lot of the different races.
Yeah. Well, and I know drow have a tendency to kill off other elves.
well, guys,
Especially since this attack on Gerald, they're not going to be happy with their clothes.
I'm up for going to Somerset because it's very beautiful. The culture there is amazing. I have a few, close friends in Somerset. One's got a dog, a beautiful dog. Man, that dog's, as tall as me. I think his name was, Talvy? Nah, I'm just kidding. That's, my dog's name. Anyway, that's pretty sweet. I say, we go to Somerset. Don't roll your eyes at me, Jasper. I'm looking at you. I'm up for Somerset. I know as a dwarf, the Broadmoor Mountains suck ass. We tried to not go there for my business trips anyway. I'm country now, apparently. All I say is let's not go to Greymoor. I know it's opposite way, but let's stay away from all of those towns. Yeah, deal. Somerset. I've been there before. I know the tricks.
I hate to agree with the dwarf.
Wow, me too.
But I would also advise that we pass through Somerset. The path through the Broadmoor Mountains is very rough terrain, and there are quite a few unfriendly types that we could come across along the way.
What he said.
I'm just more eloquent than you.
Shyn. Nah. I was gonna say something nice.
So,
Fuck you.
you do?
Has Tabak ever been?
You would have passed through Somerset a couple of times, probably. You wouldn't have gone far north, and you probably never would have gone to Westfold, because that is the current ruling city for Somerset. You might have gone as far as Ocean Hall, but in the last couple of years, that's been a little bit more hyped up, because that is where the curry-seated king is from.
I haven't had any missions in any of those cities, have I?
You've probably had one or two.
Not
just
high profile though,
scattered.
right?
No,
No.
not much high
Okay.
profile, no.
Would I had dwarf mining business in there?
You already said you've been up there.
No, but
You've
was it?
passed through performing wise, for actual business. The humans are a bit more tense around other races just because of past civilization rules and stuff. They don't have a problem with dwarves, so you might have business in a couple of those places, but there's no way of telling with the current status.
And by performing, you mean when he first left? So
Yeah.
a long time ago?
A while back, you
Okay.
would have been. You would have
Tabak
passed
have
through.
sold some stuff up there, possibly?
Yeah. So.
I was gonna ask if there's tense relations with drow, but everyone has fucking tense relations with drow.
Yeah, so you would have,
Besides our party, apparently.
Tabak, it would have been a bit of a stretch to go that far, but you would have definitely passed through Ocean Hall at some point, just because it is the closest of those cities. You would have been more down in the Daymore lands of the Dragonborn, or into the Greymoor. but that would have
What you
been.
doing in my land? No.
I was just thinking.
Would I have been
So we
anywhere
probably
around
know
there?
some people and know some qualities.
You lived mostly in the Forest of Mir.
Jason, can you not?
You might have passed through the more northern cities. You might have actually passed by Cashier. You would have never gone through it, but you would have passed by it getting past to the Evodia. Yeah, Evodia, which is the northern tip forest. But you probably wouldn't have ventured as far as Thornhill and such.
So through Somerset, it's going to take us more time. We should still get there within the
So,
week, though, right?
pros and cons. Somerset, it will take you the full week to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Magic is a bit of a tense subject in Somerset because there was a big war and magic didn't go well with them.
Yeah.
So your magic would have to be kept a little bit more low profile. But you would pass through relatively safely. And there'd be a lot more chance to get into some cities, and if you need to purchase equipment or if you need to make contact with people and stuff, points of interest, that stuff would all be Somerset. Passing through past Greymore and the forest, it would be a lot more dangerous. It'd be very quick if you can keep yourselves from being delayed.
Yeah.
But you've also got the dangers of what lives there and what lurks there.
Well, and that's what I'm
But
thinking.
you would not have to rein yourselves in.
You also wouldn't have to
What?
buy supplies because you'd just be able to loot everything.
Well,
So there would not be a
I
lot
think-
of stops for supplies.
I think more the concern with going through is A, dying, and B, the fact that I had it in my head right now 5 seconds ago. The fact that if we do come across something that does give us a delay, it's not going to be a short delay.
It's gonna be a long one.
It's going to be a long one, and there's always a possibility we won't get there on time. But I'm guessing there's also delays on the way to Somerset.
Probably.
Yeah. So
But,
depending, either way, the rough timing is fluctuate. It will fluctuate.
But we probably couldn't spend more than a day in a town.
It's a closer. If you're going through Somerset, it's definitely going to be closer to 7 days travel. With Broadmoor, you could make it 4 or 5 days if you're making good time. If you're not making good time, it could take you far longer.
Yeah.
So
I'm just
we also have advantages because people have taken that route before.
What?
The Somerset.
The Somerset. But none of us have gone through recently.
Oh wait, can I see this
That's
one second?
But also, Shyn really doesn't like going anywhere close to the Underdark.
Yeah, and Baz does not.
Where was I hiding?
Yeah, so
Get
Shyn, you would have
sucked
passed
down.
through both routes.
Yeah.
You would have gone through Somerset.
here?
Tavik would have gone a little bit through Somerset.
I'm
And
guess-
Kiza would have seen the north end, which you guys probably won't be.
But I'm
getting to see.
guessing because it was for work, he would have passed through Broadmoor with more than their party worth of people.
Wait, where
Quite
are
a
we
couple
right
people.
now?
Yeah.
You guys are in Dryernook, which is over here.
Speaking of which,
Oh,
none of you
boy.
guys know in character
So wait, we have
what
to
Shyn
go.
does.
We have
So,
to, okay, wait.
if you go through the Forest of Mir and up through the Broadmoor, you guys will be stopping by Namir, which is a large elven port city. If you go...
Is it the Asintor or no?
that was Grey Witch Port, which is farther south.
Oh yeah.
Namir is a large elvish trade city.
Okay.
It's built in the middle of a bay, surrounded by large waterfalls and 2 hulking statues. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's where we almost started your campaign. Somerset,
yeah.
if you go through Somerset, you're going to have to pass... You're not going to pass by Weldra, the city itself, but you will be passing through the main road leading into it, which is a 50-50 toss-up on how well that's going to go.
So
I
we'd
still
have
stand
to
for Somerset.
go through the forest.
You would not be passing through the forest
Okay.
itself. You would be taking the roads. You can choose to try the forest, but that's going to end up...
No, like we.
You're going to need to make sure you have navigation tools. It's going to take a lot longer.
Okay.
I still stand for Somerset.
As long as I don't have to run into anything I know.
Yeah.
Is that a risk?
If you're passing through the forest, going the Broadmoor route, no. You won't pass them. If you go through the forest itself, there's a chance, but it'd be iffy.
I
Alright.
stand that we go Somerset route for many reasons, which we've all already said. And plus,
We just have to be very careful
Yeah.
with the elves.
and if we get, since Baz has been around here before, and we get into trouble, I could always be like, ah, you do know Baz has been him?
Well,
Tabit's also kind of been further.
So we all probably have ties in little towns.
Tabit's probably
If
been there
you do
most
remember, you
recently.
did make a tie with a gnomish bard who had
Oh,
that's
offered
right.
you a place to
Yep.
stay in Thornhill if you ever stop by.
So there's also that.
Tabit's probably the one who's been there most recently, though.
would I have business contacts in any of the cities?
I just remember
One
that
or
your
two.
sister's
One or
bed.
two.
One or two, yeah. A lot more of that. A lot more of your business happens in the Elvish Kingdom.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Tabit's
those go
trying
through
not to
the
cry
Black
for
Cat
this
himself.
entire
Yeah.
thing right
But
now.
I'd be more likely to be connected
Kizza
through.
turns to Tabik. I just
Him.
remembered that your sister's dead.
Yes.
Sisters are just a bad conversation right now. Can we just not?
So we want to. Do you want to take a vote, or you guys go?
Everything is falling apart.
That chair just broke, I'm pretty sure.
Ellie, get off the
Oh,
chair.
what time are we taking a pause?
We will take a pause in 2 seconds here after I know which way you guys are going, and then we will fix that chair.
Okay, guys, we just need to figure out where we're going.
How about we go to Somerset?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
okay.
Sounds like
Charlotte?
wonderful.
Wow, thanks, Charlotte.
All right, so you guys will be passing through Somerset.
Fuck you.
Wonderful.
We're gonna go fix things.
We'll be back in about half an hour to 45 minutes. We've got to fix a couple of things up, and I've got to grab a couple of notes, and we will be right back with some more D&D.
Okay.
See you guys.